Hey Simonics, what's up? This is Simon from DevDectic back with a new Ionic tutorial on the topic of canvas. So a few weeks or a month ago, I had a little selection about which topic you would like to see, and actually all of them got pretty good feedback. So I just created the tutorials in order how you selected them. We had the shopping cart, we had the image stuff, and now we also have the canvas drawing. We will build an Ionic 4 application with an input field where we can draw with different colors, changing the line width of our stroke. We will also export the image as a real image, both in the browser and in the device. So a lot to do, let's do this. I've already created a blank new Ionic application, and I also appended --type Angular just to skip the selection on the CLI. And then in the folder of the new app, you can also install the Ionic native base64 gallery plugin and the according Cordova plugin. Basically, this is needed if you want to export your image from the canvas directly into the camera or photo roll of your device. If you just plan to use it in the browser, if you're just sending the data to your API or anything like that, you of course don't need this behavior. Also, in the previous version for Ionic 3, we were exporting the data to a file. That also works pretty great if you want to keep it like this. Also check out the File Explorer tutorial on that, for example. Okay, enough tutorials on files and images. What you're gonna do as well, if you are using the base64 gallery plugin, is going to your config XML and appending a little snippet in here, which basically sets NS photo library usage description for iOS in the info plist file. This is to get the permission of the user. If you don't add this, your app will crash on a device. Alright, with that in place, we can continue to the app module, in which we need our base64 gallery plugin from Ionic native, like always, added to the array of providers. So this was just the basic setup. Also, let's just quickly implement some CSS to make things a bit more visible. So we will have a canvas element, of course, and we're just gonna set a little border to see where the element is actually placed. And we will have also color blocks where we can select the color for the line, and just a little something here to make them look good. Okay, now we can really dive into the app. I just changed the title to be blue, or the background of the header, so nothing really fancy in here so far. Perhaps we start, I would say, directly with our canvas element. So we're gonna give it the ID image canvas in order to access it as a view child. And then we can use different functionalities. Actually, cool, I didn't know I get this. So, interesting. The tiny problem is that normally if you want to develop it for your device, you would use something like touch start and touch end to recognize when the touch on the canvas started and when it ends. The problem is the browser, when we do this kind of preview, is not recognizing these events. So for the browser, you would have to use something like mouse down and mouse up. This is not really a problem if you just need it for a device, just use the touch stuff. If you just need the browser stuff, use the mouse stuff. And if you just want to have everything inside, you can also simply insert both. Because the thing is, let's just do this so it looks good. Perhaps I could make it also in the right order now. Only one of these will ever be called. So either mouse down or touch start, mouse move or touch move, and mouse up or touch end. There's nothing you could go wrong, so simply use all of them. As you can see, start, move, end, start, move, end. We're using completely the same functionalities. So let's go to our homepage and actually add these functionalities already. So we got start drawing, we got moved, and we also got end drawing. Perhaps we will do it here. Also, let's add some locks. Start with the event and move with the event. So now we got the canvas element in place and we got it connected to a few functionalities, and we also see the border. We also already see that when I move my mouse in, we get a lot of events, and when I click, you see, I can't show you, at the bottom of the list there's start now. And also if I release it, we see end. So with these functionalities, we can work to create our drawing, basically enable the drawing mode once we click the mouse down, keeping it active while we move it and draw the line, and in the end the drawing mode. That's the general idea, and we can do this by first of all defining drawing false, and then once we start drawing, this start drawing true, and when we end drawing, of course, set it back to false. So these are really just some basics. As you can see, also the canvas is not really in a nice size. It should fill our whole screen. We could use some CSS, but we can also do it directly from code. So let's add implements after view init. So this is like ng on init, but as you can see, it is after the init, ng after view init. And at this point, our elements are completely set up. So at that point, we have access to the view child that we can add. The view child uses the ID we specified on the canvas. And since Angular 8, you have to append static false in here. And let's call this one canvas any. Also, we will have the real canvas element. This is the real native element later once we set it after the initialization. What we need as well, perhaps I will already bring in a few things. Of course, we need some colors. Just pick whatever you want, either use them or just give it a try and use your own. We will set an initial line width. Let's take 5, for example. And then we also always keep track of the last point that we were drawing on. And to keep track of them, we need to save the X coordinates. And of course, we also need the Y coordinates. Okay, so now we got quite a few elements in place. And within our after view init, we can now get the width of the platform. As I said, you could also use CSS, but why not use the private platform for this from Ionic Angular? And then using the canvas element, or basically setting the canvas element to this.canvas native element, just a little shortcut so we can use this element more easy later on. And then setting the width and the height of the element. And if we now check back, we see previously we had this small area and now we have this big area. Okay, actually we can also already put into this one if not this drawing, then return, or yeah, you should spell it correctly. So this would now already prevent our actions. Let's see, nothing happens. If I touch and move around, it works. And if I release the mouse, it's not working anymore. Now we just have to connect the lines and that's it. So enjoy the rest of the code and that's it. No, of course not. I thought about leaving some small options to the viewer of the video. Perhaps you could comment down below if you would like to get more involved into these videos and I kind of leave the end open or leave a function open for you to finish this. If you would be interested in this, let me know. I'm open for basically everything. But for now, we will continue with the start drawing. So we set drawing to true and then we can get the canvas position by using the canvas element get bounding client rect. To put in some logs and really show what is going on, I will really do a lot of logs now in the next videos. And with this position, we can now set the initial value of the X and Y coordinates. Because if I now click, we see this DOM rect, bottom, height, left, right, top. And with that information, we can calculate where on the canvas we actually want to start to draw. So we start at event page, did I call it event? Yeah, page X minus canvas position dot X. So let's see. If I click like in the really somewhere here, the information we get from the event page X is 5 and the canvas position X is 0 because canvas of course starts at 0. It starts at 56 right here. So if you calculate the page Y minus this value, you come to the position where you want to put the first mark into it. Oops. Of course, copy it for save Y as well. Page Y, position Y. This is the initial position that we're gonna use now. Let's move on to the moved functionality. We already get that we return is, and we can continue again by getting our canvas position first of all. And we also need access. I'm actually not sure if we used uconst or let in this case. So this dot canvas element get context. You always need to get the context if you want to draw something on the canvas, and that's the way you can really do a lot of things with the canvas. I actually also use this in one of the App Store Kit project, if you're familiar with that. And now I will bring in some code for now, and we can go over this one by one. So the current X position now is again calculated using the same calculation like we did here. We set the line join to be round, so that's gonna be a round line. Stroke style, our selected color and line width, for which we will implement a little switch also as well. And now the interesting part is to create a path on the canvas. And we can do this by calling begin path and ending it with close path. And in between, you basically draw on the canvas. So you move the needle to a position, which is where we put our mouse down in the beginning. And then we move the line to the new position. Of course, this will be really small increments, but this helps to completely draw or very accurately draw onto the canvas. And once you're done with this, you call the stroke and the line will be filled. Of course, the line is just a super tiny area. As you can see, we get a lot of move elements, but this is how to make it happen. Once you're done with this, you can simply set the save X to the current X and also the save Y to the current Y. I think we could also have used the position only in here, but then we wouldn't have anything to draw on. So this already, this kind of makes sense. If I hit save now, we should actually be able to draw already on the canvas, and there we go. Hi. Okay, so that's like 90% of the tutorial now already finished. Now we're just gonna add some more functionality and add the export functionality as well. But this move is really the most important part to draw on your canvas, using the two positions of the elements and then connecting them with a path. So now let's add the remaining stuff. And for this, I will skip a bit or bring in some code. First of all, one note on iOS, if you scroll this page down, you will see that you get this bounce effect. And this is sometimes kind of annoying when you want to draw on something. And to disable this, you can use force over scroll to false, and then you won't get the bounce effect on iOS. This won't really appear in here anyway, but it's something you can do. So then, basically the same like in the previous tutorial, to build a little color selection. We have a row which displays our colors using the style background color, and here again the CSS class that we defined to have the fixed height. And once we click on something, we select the color. Below them, just to make sure for every user, we also have some radio buttons which also have the value of the color, and this results in a view that looks like this. You can switch either by clicking on the radio button or by just selecting the color if I would have implemented the select color function, but that's not so hard. So select color, do we pass the color? Yes, we do. So select color, this dot selected color equals color. And now we can switch the color, and as our drawing functionality is already using the variable, we see that we can now paint in whatever color we would like to have. I must admit I'm really bad at art. I always got really bad grades in school. Yeah, I think you know why. Anyway, that's just the first part. We also want to change our line width. For the line width, it is always a nice idea to have a little range. So the ion range works perfectly here, connected by the ng model with our line width, just two icons in here, small and big, and min and max, whatever you want to do. So if you want to have a really thin line, you see you got this. And if you move it to the end, you got a kind of bigger line, and in between there's a somewhat medium line. Also, let's get rid of this lock. So now we can change colors, we can change the line width. We should remove some locks from our code. And to wrap things up, two more things that you asked for. And the one thing is that you want to be able to add an image to the canvas. So let's add two buttons right before the canvas. One to set a background, and the second one to export the canvas image. So set background, what are these characters? Come on, Simon. Set background, export canvas image. There we go. Set background is actually pretty easy. You just need to load an image and draw it on the background of the canvas. Just remember that if you draw it in the beginning on the background, you can draw over it. If you already draw onto it and then load it, it will be above the drawing. I can show you, of course, as well. For this, I added a small code image to the assets folder, which I used on my Instagram profile. If you're not yet following, make sure to check out, Simon Grimm. Just search me and you will find me. Not the wrestler, that's not me, I'm the developer guy. So for set background, as I said, we can use a new background, and I don't want to make any typos, and I guess the video is already at 20 minutes, so let's hurry a bit up. We can create a new background image, and let's change this to let. We can grab our context, we set it to the file. Again, make sure you got a file in here that you can use, and then simply draw the image on our canvas element. And in action, this looks like this. If I set a background image, there we got the small image, and now I could easily draw onto it. Also, if I load it again, you see it is above the line, and now if I start again, the new line is on top of it again. So, for example, if you want to allow your users to capture an image, just use the camera plugin. We had already a few tutorials on this. Use the base64 image or the real image file and load it into the canvas background, and then let the user paint on it or do whatever the user wants to do on that image. And for the export image, this is the final part. We can use the canvas to data URL function. This is really the easiest way of getting the base64 data. Let's log this out. Image data URL, and from that point on, you're basically free to do whatever you want. So let's paint something into it and then export, and then you get this. Now it will be, of course, a lot bigger, but with that base64 string, you can do anything you like. You can convert it to a file, you can save it, you can send it to the API, you can directly store it to the photo library of the user. Really, the possibilities are infinite at that point, and it's completely up to you. The thing we wanted to do is use the base64 to gallery plugin. So base64 to gallery, and let's also use the toast to display that it was actually saved. And in the export, I would encourage to make a little if statement if you want to use it on different platforms. Because for Cordova, of course, we could use that plugin, but if you're running just here in the browser, it is actually pretty easy to use a very, very easy dummy fallback script. But before you can do this, you should transform your base64 to a blob. And I got a function. You can check it out in the tutorial linked below the video. I wouldn't recommend to type all of this. It was actually from the Ionic forum, so I will give credits in here. This is not my function. Either go to that URL or check out the full code below the video. And then we can use this functionality to save our own image. So on the browser, it could look like this. You first of all split the data just because, let's see, you don't want to have this part into the blob file. So split it, create the blob using the function below, and then just create an that's really poor code, but anyway, it works on the browser. We've used it in the past. It's just to download something really, really quick and a bit ugly. So let's say we have the background image, we paint hi, and we do whatever, and then we export the canvas image. There it already pops up. And if I open it and bring it in, we see my exported image, which looks exactly like the canvas element. Also, if you want to clear the canvas at that point, the only thing you need to do is, like before, get a reference to the context and then call clear rect with the full width and height of the canvas. And now finally the code for iOS and Android is making use, is that a sentence? I'm not sure. You can import these gallery options also from the package. Call the base64 to gallery. The function is the same name like the package. Add the data URL, and for the options, you see we got a prefix, and the media scanner indicates that the file will be stored to the camera roll. And now I could show you this on a real device, or alternatively, you could also trust me that this works on a device as well. Basically, the same thing happens. Now we also got the clear in here. And if you check out your camera roll, you will see this painting in your photo library. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was the third of the tutorials that you selected. I've already at this point hopefully started a new selection. You know, I do prepare my videos a bit upfront, so things come out a bit later, even if you selected the topic a lot earlier. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure to subscribe to the video, to the channel of course, and check out the Ionic Academy, which is my school to help you learn everything Ionic in the best and fastest possible way. I would love to see you inside the Academy and of course inside the next video, so have a great day and take care.